Hey, welcome back. The new weapon banners is about to drop, and while most people have their eyes on the 5-star, I have my eyes on the 4-star, most noticeably the 2 Lithic. And it turned out while they are decent, they're not as good as I thought. In case you're not aware of what they do, they provide you massive amount of stats depending on how many liyue characters you put in your party. Now, the list of liyue character, in case you're not aware, is Xiao, Ganyu, Zhong, Xinyan. Tatalia is from Inazuma, so he's not from liyue. Keqing, Chi, Chongyue, Ningguang, Xingqiu, Xiangling, Beidou. Basically, every single person here with a Chinese name. Okay, but the ultimate question is still, how good are these Lithic weapons? Are they worth considering? Let's answer that question with very simple math. Okay, so let's start off with Xiao. This graph looked very messy at the beginning, but what you need to know is actually at the top left here. So this is the ranking of the weapon from best to worst at the top to the bottom. And we can basically split the weapon into 3 tiers. We have the top tier, which is the 5-star weapon, even at refined 1. And then we have the medium tier, the decent tier, which most people are trying to aim for, like the Deathmatch or the Black Cliff. And finally, at the bottom, we have the mediocre tier that only use these if you don't have anything else better. For example, Dragon Bane or Crescent Pike, which Xiao doesn't really utilize at all, would be at the very bottom. Something to take note of is that for Lithic weapon, having member count is much more important than anything else, even more than in refinement. At the very bottom, you can see these are the 1-member Lithic weapon, and even at R5, having only 1 member still doesn't do anything that good. But do take note that at 1 member, R5 is equivalent to 2 member of just refined 0, which makes sense of course because of math. But as we get more liyue member, you can see that this weapon starts to scale really hard, matching Deathmatch or Black Curve starting from 3 member and outperforming them at 4 member. And well, if you can get both refinement and high count of member, you can actually start to see that Lithic are being able to match 5-star weapon, or at the very best case scenario where you have R5 Lithic and 4 member, you can actually outperform 5-star weapon at refined 1. Do keep in mind that for a weapon like Black Cliff or Deathmatch, the refinement are much harder to get, and in Black Cliff cases, the refinement actually don't even matter that much. Now, while having high member count is very strong, keep in mind that this might not be easy to achieve depending on your playstyle, your box, or just how geared your team member in general. Let's take Xiao for example. Let's head to the party setup and see. The first thing we need is a enamel battery, and immediately we notice there is no liyue enamel character. So we're forced to put a non-liyue character in, and our member count is now down to 3 at maximum. So let's say we put Sucrose, right? And the next thing you know is because of Xiao HP drain, we need a healer. And the only healer from liyue are Chi or maybe Xingqiu if you don't take a lot of damage, but that's not really realistic. So let's put Chi in. So now we have one final slot for perhaps another liyue member, and who can we possibly put in, right? Maybe Beidou, maybe Xingqiu. Zhong is definitely the best choice here, but keep in mind that these are all 5-star character. And surely you can make the argument that you don't need to bring Chi if you just bring Jean. But once again, Jean is another 5-star character that you might not have. So for you, it might not be the easiest thing to achieve high member count on Xiao team if you're using the Lithic Spear on him. And basically identical results for Xiangling or Zhong as well. However, for Zhong, a quick call out is that Staff of Homa outperformed Lithic Spear at R5 even with 4 member because of the HP scaling on Staff of Homa and how Zhong interact with HP. And this is for a support Zhong, so we're looking at Resonant Tablet damage, we're looking at Meteor damage. For a physical damage carry on field Zhong, Crescent Pike is still gonna be the one to go to. With that being said, let's move on to Claymore user, starting up with Noelle, because Noelle is a irregular character who actually scale with defense instead. So Noelle's scale with defense percent and she actually dislike attack percent a bit and would much rather have critical rate or critical damage or other stat instead. So the baseline here to look at is actually the R1 Serpent Spine with 5 stacks. This is giving her massive damage increase as well as critical rate increase. You can see that for Noelle, the Lithic Claymore is just not that good unless you have really high refinement and high member. At Refine 5 with 3 member or at Refine 3 with 4 member, they are equivalent to Refine 1 Serpent Spine. And finally, at Refine 5 4 member, it finally outscales Serpent Spine due to the massive critical rate and attack percent that you get from the weapon. But because Noelle herself is not from Liyue, it is impossible to actually have 4 member, meaning that just run Serpent Spine on Noelle, don't worry about Lithic. So moving to someone who is more normal like Diluc, and you can see basically similar results at the pole arm. At low member count, for example 1 member, even at Refine 5, these are gonna be the bottom tier weapon and they're not just that good. But once you start hitting high member count, like 3 member at Refine 1 or 4 member at Refine 1, these weapons start being really decent and they're gonna be the mid tier weapon. And if you can somehow hit high member count on the Lithic weapon and high refinement, for example Refine 3 at 4 member or Refine 5 at 3 member, and starting to catch up to Wolf Gravestone, but still fall short a bit from Wolf Gravestone because it's such a big statistic that Wolf Gravestone provide. And again, finally at Refine 5 4 member, it does outperform Wolf Gravestone, but again, that is an impossible scenario because Diluc is not from Liyue. So in another word, Wolf Gravestone is still gonna be the best for Diluc, even at Refine 1. And basically identical results even for other characters such as Chongyue, as you can see on the graph here. But I do want to call out that when you're playing character like Chongyue or Beidou as a sub DPS or support, and they're not really on the field attacking, so they cannot utilize the prototype bonuses or Serpent Spine bonuses, then the Lithic weapon are actually going to be really good because they provide huge amount of stat provided you are putting them in the right party. For example, in the country team, as we mentioned before, there is a total of 3 Liyue member. And because Chongyue's only job is to switch out cast Yi and cast his elemental burst, then it's actually really good for him in this case. As a final remark, I think that these weapons have the potential to be good, but are situational on having 3 or more member from Liyue in your party. And as we get more regions such as Inazuma, it might not be the easiest thing to put more Liyue member in your party. So I would not try to force a party around the weapon. Instead, I would say if you have a party with a lot of Liyue member, then you can put the Lithic weapon in. For example, the Chinese country team is a great example because there's 3 Liyue member here, and Xiangling and Chongyue can really use the Lithic spear and pull a claymore really well. So in this case, I would say yes, the Lithic weapon are really good in a team like these. But for someone like the Diluc Xingqiu team where it's awkward to put your Liyue member in, then I would say no, the Lithic's not really that good since there's only 1 Liyue member here. And if I were to force another Liyue member in, I would have to take out either Sucrose or Bennett, and it might be difficult to do so without actually losing their original functionality. That's it for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you learned something from this video, and I'll see you guys next time.